fandom, there's a continuum, right? You can like something. Like I'm a fan of anything, whatever. You could be a fan of something. You watch it, you like it, you enjoy it. John Wick is a good example. I'm a fan of John Wick. Love John Wick. It's a fantastic franchise. But I wouldn't dive into it as much as, say, Star Wars, right? But I think fandom, you watch a film or read a comic book, or you can be a fan of it, but then you can go into what Mark Hamill refers to as the ultra passionate fans, right? And that's where we are with Star Wars, right? I've spent thousands of dollars on autographs and toys and costumes. And it's something that really brings me joy, and I honestly can't explain why. I know from being a child in the 70s, born in the 70s, and being a child in the 80s, we were surrounded by Star Wars, and it was something that makes me as an adult feel like, wow, warm, fuzzy, like an old childhood memory. It's interesting. I mean, I'm in that convention type generation, right? We've all gone to conventions. We go frequently to conventions. We've seen it grow. We've seen it grow exponentially, really quickly, and we've seen fandom it's really shot up. So trying even to get tickets to go to a convention is challenging. Trying to get to get into the place that's exclusive is a challenge. So fandom has really shot up in the past 10 years to almost unattainable levels where trying to get concert tickets for an event, they're sold out in 35 seconds. Trying to get tickets to Comic-Con sells out in 3 minutes. Trying to get a photograph session with Mark Hamill sells out in 35 seconds. It's almost impossible to get some of those things out because fandom is so big. Oh man, I became a fan of Star Wars. My first recollection of Star Wars was watching Empire Strikes Back in the movie theater. I believe I had toys before that my dad bought, my parents bought for me. But I do remember watching it at the movie theater in West Covina when I was a kid. They said I was 2 years old. They said you can't remember when you're 2 years old, but I can definitely remember everything about it. We went to McDonald's, we waited in line, we were around the parking lot, I remember all of it. I was wearing my Chewbacca PJs that had a glow-in-the-dark Chewbacca on the front. I don't know if you guys remember those. But yeah, that's the 1980. I went to Celebration 3 in Indiana, and walked in there as a fan with a t-shirt on and saw this incredible club. They were checking badges at the doors, and I was like, wow, I really, really, really want to do that. I would love to have a Stormtrooper costume. It's incredible. And then I found out you could. And a few years later, that was 2002, a few years later I started putting together a Sith Anakin, because everyone loved Sith Anakin with the Sith eyes. It was so cool, right?
Yeah.
And found out that was, of course, not close at all, remotely close to being approved. So then I built a airborne clone the following year, and in 2005, so in 2006 I was approved. He's like, I build these clones in my garage. I was like, what is that? What do you mean you build them in your garage? And he said, come over and I'll show you. We'll build one. And so that's kind of how it happened. 13? I think I'm 13. I couldn't name them all if I tried, but I know I have around 13. Maybe 11 to 13. Captain Rex, animated Phase 2 Captain Rex. That was hand painted I made Captain Rex in 9 days. That's still probably if I was to think of my masterpiece, that was my masterpiece. I currently have, two are on mannequins.
Right.
The one that was in Obi-Wan and the one that was in Mandalorian. Those are on mannequins in my office. And I have two more. I have an Empire Strikes Back Stormtrooper and a New Hope Stormtrooper. I was just completely speechless, shocked, unbelievable. I will tell you now, and that we shot first season of Mandalorian 5 years ago. 5 years ago and just a few days ago. And I will still get teary-eyed thinking about what we did. Like, oh my God, I cannot believe this happened. It's a dream come true. It really, truly is a dream come true to have your little guys and you're playing Rick Moranis did with his dolls and Spaceballs, right? I was that kid. I was that child that did that and set them up and knocked them down, and And then I invested all this money into a costume scare in my 20s. And there I was, I think I was 39 when I shot Mandalorian. I was an Imperial Stormtrooper, and I've been representing that character. And it's been phenomenal to actually be that character. The garrison, because we're local, right? The local garrison, an email or a call saying, hey, this is what we need, how many troopers can you get for Thursday, an event on Thursday, late notice, how many can you get? That can be available from blank date to blank date. And then we post it up on our forum, and then people will sign up for Mando. The call went down to San Diego, went to our garrison, and went to Golden Gate Garrison in San Francisco. And people say, I can't really take 3 days off work because we gotta pay our bills. Like, it's hard. Like, I don't know what we're gonna do for 3 days. It's a big commitment, I'll tell you now that every time there's a request, everyone quits their job to go sign up for whatever it is, When you're behind the mask, the smiles and the reception that you see from everyone around you, it's motivation. I love it. I love to represent. Right. I love to represent what I first saw, to give any stranger, any person, or any fan that same feeling that I had when I saw those stormtroopers bust through that door. It's like, wow, it was overwhelming. It was like really cool. When you're in the gear and you're at an event, that's the joy I get from being at an event. I will say my ultimate defining moment was a charity event I did at the Miller's Children's Hospital. I was supposed to be at a neuroscience examination, and I pulled over on the freeway and I called out with car problems, and I went straight down to Long Beach Miller's Children's Hospital, and I escorted George Lucas through the hospital for about 4 or 5 hours. And during that, I'm geeking out. I'm 22 years old. George is next to me. I'm in this elevator. It was George and Kendra Wilkinson and Kelly Hu and John Sally, I think, was in the elevator with us as well. And we had our helmets on. It was me and another trooper. And it was hot. We were crowded. And he said, "Take your helmets off." And I just shook my head no. He's like, and they're like, "Oh, come on, take your helmet off." And he's like, these guys, they do everything volunteer. These guys are completely volunteers. They never get paid. All they do is charity work. And they're fantastic, and they do everything we ask them to do, and every time we need them, they're there. And he said, "Go ahead and take your helmet off." And I was like, after that, absolutely. So I took my helmet off, and it was really, really cool, to be in this little small elevator with these people. But to hear George Lucas himself say that to the people that were in the elevator, the celebrities in the elevator, and to hear that, to know that he knew our core of what we were doing and how we were doing it and why we were doing it, was so cool. That was this is the man himself, right? Right. And he's telling somebody, he's educating somebody else on the 501st Legion of what we do and how we do it and why we do it. That was my one defining moment. When I first told people what I liked to do and what I was into, they would laugh. "Oh, you're gonna go to that comic book convention in San Diego?" "Yeah, I'm gonna take time off work and go to that comic book convention." Early 2000s, Now they go, "Wow, hey man, that's so cool. You get to go to Comic-Con, right?" It's just been a really interesting. It's been a really interesting change, dynamic change. Now people kind of understand, a little more accepting of it, but it's still an interesting conversation. They go, "Oh, that's cool." Either they get it or they don't, Right. But I think dressing up, costumes, cosplay, which happened late in mid 2000s, is becoming so well known now. It's not as frowned upon or as looked down upon as it used to be. Oh my God, there's our flag. And I was fortunate enough to get invited to the premiere that year. So I saw it. I was literally in the front row, dead center at the El Capitan when I saw it, and I was like, was that the Legion flag? And it was that fast, right? Right. But I knew what I saw. They changed it a little bit, but I knew what I saw. It was one of the coolest moments to have that circle, right, where we have been such fans of the franchise, and then George was a fan of us, and Lynn Hale and Mary Franklin and Kathleen Kennedy herself. They put us back into the lore, right? The fans are now full circle back into the lore. I want to say Timothy Zahn right? Started that whole thing, and with Albin Johnson, we got the name going, and they put him in books. We're in the video game, we're in Battlefront, and then now we're in the films, and now we're legit in the TV shows. Like, how cool is that? To be a fan going back into
it started with
canon.
It started with one writing.
Yeah.